What's going on, guys? Welcome back to this video. Today we're doing LookBack, which is a recently released drone from TryHackMe. The description says you have been tasked to run a vulnerability test on a production environment. So in this machine, what we're going to do some vulnerability testing or scanning on the given machine, and we're going to use the information displayed in the output or in the report to conduct further penetration testing on the machine to finally achieve the root. So to do that, we're going to deploy the machine and start a challenge. So 3 flags are required to complete the challenge. Let's go ahead and do that. Alright, so this is the nmap scan, and as you can see, we have one port. We have port 80 open, 135, 139, and 443. Of course, this is for the HTTPS. And we have this name as a DNS name for this machine. It is displayed in more than one position in this output. Again, we have other ports like 445, 593, and we have RDB open, remote desktop. If you scroll down, again, we can see the host script results, as you can see here, and it displays also the DNS name one more time. So what we're going to do here, we need to add this to the host file of the machine we are using to conduct the testing. So you can use nano for that. You can use the etc host file, and I have added the IP address of the machine, which I'm going to correct here because this is a new instance of the machine. So this is the DNS name, and there you go, we replace that with the new IP address. Hit the save, and that's it. Let's exit here. Alright. Okay, so after we have done or completed the nmap scan and added the DNS name to the host file, the next step is to decide which port to start the testing with. So we start with the port Hey HTTP. If you open the browser now and navigate, we're gonna use the DNS name for the navigation. Having trouble finding this site. Let's use Hey HTTP. Alright, what if we try with the IP address instead? Looks like there is no response on the main page, so we're going to shift the focus to the port 443. So let's hit the IP address again with Hey HTTPS. Probably this is the VPN, not the machine. Initiate a new request. So here it worked. Initiate a new request here. Okay. So this is the warning that we get when we navigate to the web server on port 443. You can click on Advanced and say accept the risk and continue. And we have an Outlook login page. So immediately something comes to my mind is to try with the username admin and admin, but this will not work. So what we are going to do here, since we tried with port 443 and here we try with port 80 but nothing in display, we're going to use directory search or GoBuster to see if we have some other directories that we are not aware of. So let's fire directory buster. Okay, so GoBuster -u. specify the IP address and -w user share word list directory buster, and we're gonna use the common word list. Alright, let's do that. I'm very surprised that Cobuster is not on my machine. It's like I haven't used it before. -- URL. Okay, looks like we have to add the dir keyword. Unable to connect to that IP address. Cannot validate the certificate for, so we have to use the SSL certificate option. Let's take a look at the options. Okay, let's go back and I use -k here. So in the help menu here, we are going to need to look for the option that deals with the SSL certificates, but it's not written here. So normally I remember it is -k. Let's go back and use -k, and we get another error that states that matches the provided options for non-existing URLs. To continue, please exclude the status code order length. Alright, let's exclude that. -- exclude -length 0, and now we are ready to go. So let's see what we got. Okay, if you take a look at the output, we see this one particular directory returned different status code. Let's check it out. /test, and as you can see, we receive a prompt to enter username and password. Now that's when we need to try a different method to be able to obtain the password and username. So we go back. Remember from the description of the challenge that it says we need to do, or we need to conduct vulnerability scanning. The LookBack company has just started the integration with Active Directory. Due to the coming deadline, the system integrator had to rush the deployment of the environment. Can we spot any vulnerabilities? Up until now, we haven't run any vulnerability scan on the machine. We have just been conducting enumeration on the ports 80 and 443 given from the nmap scan output. Okay, we received, or we actually came out with this directory as a result of the enumeration, but we need to do more to be able to bypass this prompt. So what I did is to run vulnerability scanning using Nikto. Specify the URL. Of course, I specified here the web server running on port 80, and with the switch-h to specify the host. These are the results of the vulnerability scan, and as you can see here, we got the username and password as part of the scan output. So it is admin. So let's go back and input these two. Alright, so that's when we get the first flag. This interface should be removed on production. So let's take the first flag. Now on to the next flag, which is user flag. Alright, we have a user input here, and as I stated multiple times, user input is the playground where you can try probing the machine for different sorts of web application vulnerabilities, such as cross-site scripting, SQL injection, cross-site request forgery, all sorts of application vulnerabilities, command injection. Now, the one that will work here or will be testing in this instance is the command injection. So as you can see, we have a default value here, BitLooker active monitoring logs. Let's click on run to give it a test. List generated at 5:15 a.m. Okay. Now, what about we try something that the web application doesn't expect, like a single quote, and we get the error. Now, normally in developing or while developing your applications, you should suppress the error display back to the endpoint or back to the end user. So users should not see this error, because this error is an indicative of the nature of the system and how it works. That's why we invoke the errors, because we want to see how the web application reacts and responds by taking a look at the errors. So this is a partial error. The string is missing the terminator single quote. So this means that, as you can see, we know that the web server is being run on Windows operating system, and as you can see, it is using partial here to execute system commands. So what if we try double quotes? Alright, again we get another error, but this time it is the get content cmdelete in partial, right? So this means that the application behind this prompt is executing get content on the get content cmdelete on the system, right? So basically here, if you scroll down, as you can see, this is what's happening: get content cmdelete, and it is using the path of the local disk C, and then this is the double quotes. The double quotes represents, in this case, the input we used a while ago. So we used double quotes, so it input the double quotes here as the path to execute. And lastly, if you scroll down, as you can see, we have the same one here. Oh, here, get content C double quotes. So what we need to do here, guys, we need to find a way to escape this get content and execute more system commands. So how this happens, if we escape the get content cmdelete and then use pipe, so basically in partial, if we use pipe here, pipe will indicate that we want to execute further system commands. So we escape this get content cmdelete, and then we use pipe, right, to execute further system commands. So to be able to escape the cmdelete content or get content cmdelete, we need to understand how it works. So basically, if you saw earlier when I used double quotes, the double quotes were used in this position, and after the double quotes we have single quote and we have one single parenthesis. So to be able to escape this get content, we have to enter here, as you can see, for example, let's say single quote and single parenthesis. It means we are closing the get content cmdelete. After closing the get content cmdelete using single quote and one parenthesis, we're going to use the pipe. So pipe in partial, again, it means we are going to execute further or additional system commands. So who am I? Let's run. The string is missing the terminator single quote. So again, this doesn't work. Let's go back and execute only single quote and parenthesis. Let's see how it works. Again, didn't work. Okay, let's go back to double quotes. See what we have to do to be able to escape this. Okay, so let's read this carefully. Get illegal characters in the path. So as you can see, this is the illegal characters meant by the double quotes we entered. It has been inserted into the path, and later on we get this invalid argument. Yeah, so that's what's happening. As you can see, the single quote or double quotes are being inserted into the path of the directory being used in the get content cmdelete and here as well. The path doesn't exist exactly, so we need to what to do here. We need to close or escape the path here again with one single parenthesis and single quote. So maybe that would work. So single parenthesis, single quote, one parenthesis to close or to escape the get content, and pipe that to the who am I. And lastly, before we run this, we're going to use one parenthesis and single quote. And exactly now it worked. As you can see here, we have the command executed, and we now know what's the current user on the system. It is admin. So now it's time to generate a reverse shell. Exactly, we need a partial reverse shell. So to do that, okay, let's go to reverse shells notes here. By the way, you can download this. This file is available to download as part of the channel membership. I don't need to remind you guys that some files are downloadable and some are not due to copyrights. This file exactly is downloadable. So let's search for PowerShell. Okay, so we have multiple options to select from when we need actually a partial reverse shell, but exactly here we need one encoded in base64. So what we're going to do, we can either take this any one of these, encode it with base64, or we can be a bit faster and we can go back here and use this site to generate a partial reverse shell encoded with base64. So we use the operating system OS Windows, we scroll down and we use PowerShell number 3 base64. Okay, so let's take this one. Okay, use that instead of who am I. Now I forgot one thing. Guess what is it? To customize the reverse shell. So basically here we have to input the IP address and the port that we're going to use as listeners. So we go back here and check out the IP address of my machine. So it is 10.14.35.217. So we take that, and the port I want is 4545. So let's copy that and make sure the listener is running. All right. I'm going to remove this one. Hopefully it's not that long. And enter this instead. Hopefully this will work. Run. Indeed, we received the shell from the victim machine. Now we are connected, or we achieved the first foothold on the machine. So if we check who am I, we are the admin. Now let's grab the user flag. So cd c okay, cd dev. Alright, we have two files. Okay, the first one, type user.txt, and that's your second flag. I forgot the T, I know that, submit. The other one is sudo. Let's type that file or display the contents of that file. Okay, this is the tasks lists for deadline. Let's do that carefully. So promote server to domain controller, already done. Set up Microsoft Exchange, done. Set up IIS, done. Good job. Remove the log analyzer, to be done. Alright. Add all the users from the infrastructure department, to be done. And install the security update for MS Exchange, to be done. Set up labs, to be done. When you are done with the tasks, please send an email to Joe, Carol, and don't forget to put in CC the infrastructure team. Okay. So what is the key takeaway from these notes? The key takeaway here is that, as you can see, these notes indicate the status of the system that the infrastructure team is running. And one keynote that's eye-grabbing is this one: and install the security update for MS Exchange. This means that the Microsoft Exchange used on the machine is vulnerable. Our job here is to find out what is the vulnerability that's this Microsoft Exchange exposed to. If we cannot do that, we can go back and launch MSF Council, and MSF Council, we're going to search for a proper vulnerability or proper exploit for the Microsoft Exchange. Alright, so once we are inside, let's search for search exchange. Alright, let's do that. Search exchange type exploit. We have multiple exploits. All of them are on Microsoft Exchange. Let's make this a little bit smaller to be able to do the full columns. So let's look for the excellent. So the first one here, Windows exploits, Exchange view state, Exchange control panel, view state deserialization. Okay, we don't want this one. We have this one here, exploit Windows manage engine. The description says manage engine Exchange reporter plus unauthenticated RCE. Well, this has to do with the Exchange reporter. We don't want this. The other one, Microsoft Exchange proxy log on RCE. Not interested in this one. Other one, Microsoft Exchange proxy shell RCE. This one sounds interesting because it has shell. We can achieve shell here, proxy shell. Other ones, Microsoft Exchange server chained serialization binder. Nope. Other one, Exchange server DLP utilities. Nope. Authentication bypass. Nope. Remote code execution on the, no, this one is Linux. Okay, let's go back and try this one. This is the only one that can be ruled out. Or sorry, it can be ruled in, not out. So use. Let's see what are the required options. Okay. So first we need an email, a known email address for this organization. If you go back to the notes here, we have these emails that are part of the organization. So we're going to use this one. This is the email supposed to be for the infrastructure team. So we're going to use that. Use or set email. Okay. Next, our hosts. This one is easy. Set our hosts, and we know it is the IP address of the machine. Our port can be left as is. The URL path also can be left as is. Let's scroll down and check out the payload options. We have the L host and the L port. Set L port. Of course, we're going to need a port that is not used for or by a listener. So 4546. Set L host. This is the IP address of my machine. Check it out here. Nope, not here. Okay. And that's it. Let's now run this and test the exploit. As part of the exploit, as you can see, or the exploitation phase is accessing the or assigning the mailbox import export role via this one. So as you can see, they successfully assigned the mailbox import export role. So this relies on the fact that the email address that we are targeting has the import export role for this to work. Maybe as a patch for this vulnerability is to disable this role. So what happened here? Export aborted due to failure. Server did not respond in an expected way. Well, that's interesting. Email, our hosts, our port, check out the IP one more time, 205.99. This is 205.99. One more time. So apparently we have one session opened here. Let's interact with that session. Shell. Okay, cd now to, guess what, users. Let's check out the users. So we're gonna navigate to administrator, specifically to the desktop, and retrieve the last. Oh, there is nothing here. Okay, so let's go back. This is unexpected because most of the time the flag is placed in the desktop. Let's try with documents maybe. Indeed, type flag text, and this is it, guys. The last finishing bit of this challenge. Let me go back and show you something that I have omitted or actually overlooked. So basically, that's the exploit we tried, and it worked because, as you can see here, the target is vulnerable to CVE-2021-34473. Let's take a look at this vulnerability. Microsoft Exchange Server remote code execution vulnerability. This CVE is unique from. Okay. Disclaimer. Let's take a look at this. This Metasploit model exploits a vulnerability in Microsoft Exchange Server that allows an attacker to bypass the authentication, impersonate an arbitrary user, and write an arbitrary file to achieve remote code execution. By taking advantage of this vulnerability, you can execute arbitrary commands on the server. That's what we did. You can research more, guys, about this vulnerability and what it works and what are the components that this vulnerability exploits. So that was it, guys. I hope you like that, and I will definitely see you in the next video.